And let's do question number 2. Y equals x, y equals 2x minus 4. 2, y equals x, y equals 2x minus 4. All right, so we have these two equations. The first thing I want to do when I'm going to solve this using substitution is I want to label my equations. I'm going to label equation number 1, and I'm going to label equation number 2. Step 1 is label your equations. Step 2 is going to be solve the simpler equation for a variable. We labeled our equations, equation 1, equation 2, and then we have the top equation, which is y equals x, and the bottom equation, y equals 2x minus 4. If we're doing step 2, we need to have the equations solved for a variable. This one is already solved for y. Alternatively, you could say it's solved for x. As long as it has one of the variables by itself, we're good with step number 2. Step 3. Step 3 is going to be substitute what your variable is equal to in the place of the variable in the complicated equation. When I say that, I mean this second equation is more complicated than the first one. So we are going to take y, and y is equal to x. So we're going to take what y is equal to, and we're going to substitute that in the place of that variable. So we're going to take x, and we're going to substitute it for y. And that's going to make x on the left is equal to 2x minus 4. And now we can just solve this like normal. So we're going to solve this, what we have now, for x. Step 4 is going to be solve this equation, which only has one variable now, for that variable. And that's going to be equation number 3. So let's do that by getting the x's on the same side. Let me subtract this x. And that's going to make x equals 0. And then we have a minus 4 on the right. Now let's add the 4 to the left so that we have 4 equals x. We solved for x. There's more though. Step 5, plug that answer into equation 1 or 2. Into equation 1 or equation 2, which means the starting ones. X is equal to 4, so I think the easiest one to plug that back into would be equation number 1. If I plug x equals 4 into equation number 1, then that would give me y equals 4. Once we have both of the variables solved for, you can write those as an ordered pair. The answer is 4, 4. Step 6, write the solution as an ordered pair or as a sentence. You can either write these steps down, all of them right now, or you can come back to this later after you've done a few more examples and then write it down at the end. But let's do another example together. The next one we'll do is one that's going to be similar to that. Let's do number 11. We'll do number 11 next. X plus y equals 38. X equals 2y minus 25. Now let's look at our steps. Step 1, label your equations. That won't take very long, so let me just read step 2. Solve the simpler equation for a variable. First thing we'll do is label equation 1 and equation 2. The reason you label your equations is because someday you're going to have 3 or more equations, and you'll get confused on which ones you started out with if you don't label your equations. So 1 and 2, those are our starting ones. Step 2 is solve for one of the variables. Solve the easier one for one of the variables. If we look, equation number 2 is already solved for x. X is by itself in this equation. So that means we don't need to do step 2 because it's already been done for you. Step 3, substitute what your variable is equal to in the place of the variable in the complicated equation. Okay, so x plus y equals 38. That's a little bit more complicated than the bottom one. The bottom one is solved for x. So we're going to take what x is equal to. X is equal to 2y minus 25. And we're going to take that and we're going to substitute it for the variable in equation number 1. So we're going to write 2y minus 25. And then we write the rest of this equation, plus y equals 38. That's equation number 3. Equation number 3 comes from whenever you substitute one of your equations into the other one. That makes equation 3. Now let's simplify this. We have 2y minus 25 plus y. Since this is a y and this is a y, we can combine those to make 3y. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add this 25 to the right side. Plus 25. 38 plus 25, 63. Now we have 3 times y. To remove the 3 times y, we'll divide by 3 because that'll balance that out. And now all we have to do is 63 divided by 3. 3 fits into 6 twice. 3 fits into 3 once. So y is equal to 21. Now let's go back to our steps. We did step 4, which was solve that equation. Step 5, plug that answer into equation 1 or equation 2. So we have an answer, y equals 21. We're going to plug that into either equation 1 or equation 2. You could take this number and we could plug it back into here, or we could plug it into the top one. I think the easier one is the bottom one, but maybe you feel like the top one is easier. It's up to you. So once we do that, we have x equals, I'm just rewriting equation number 2, but instead of writing y, I'm going to put 21. 2 times 21 minus 25. That means x is equal to 42 minus 25. And the difference between those two numbers is 17. Step 6 is to write that solution as an ordered pair. So we have x equals 17, y equals 21, and we're done. Actually, we have one last step. And that's going to be check your answer. And we check our answer by plugging both of those numbers into either equation 1 or equation 2. I have 17 and 21. I'm going to plug those into equation number 1, and that'll make 17 plus 21. We want it to be equal to 38. A 7 plus a 1 makes an 8. And a 1 plus a 2 makes a 3. 38 is equal to 38. That means we did not make a mistake. We made the correct choice in picking those numbers. Why don't you go ahead and try number 7? You do number 7 on your own. X plus 5y equals 2. X equals negative 4y plus 5. You try that on your own, and then I'll show you my work for it afterwards. So pause the video, try number 7. Okay, here's what I did for number 7. I labeled my equations, equation 1, equation 2. I took equation 2 and substituted it for equation number 1. I took negative 4y plus 5, and I put that in the place of x. That gave me negative 4y plus 5 plus 5y equals 2. Then I combined the negative 4y with the positive 5y. That left you with 1 positive y. Then you should subtract the 5 from the left and from the right. That leaves you with y equals negative 3. Then you substitute negative 3 in for y, and that's how I had negative 4 times negative 3 plus 5. Negative 4 times negative 3 is 12, plus 5 makes 17. And that's my solution, 17 comma negative 3. That's my ordered pair. Then you check your answer by plugging in 17 and negative 3 for x and for y. I did it into equation number 1. So 17 plus 5 times negative 3, and I got an answer that was true, so that means I didn't make a mistake. I got the right answer. If you check your answers by plugging them back in, then you won't already know by the time you turn in your work, if you checked your answers, you already know that you got a 100. If you check your answers and you got something that was not true, like for example, if when I was checking my answers, I got 16 and 3, and so that made a 16 right here and a 16 right here, then that would have made my solution say 1 equals 2. That would not be true, and so that means I have a mistake. I have my mistake either over here or I have my mistake over here. If you can find your mistake, you should try to do that and then go from there. Or you just have to start fresh and redo the problem. That's why it's important to show your work whenever you're solving by substitution. If you don't show your work, you won't be able to find your mistake, and you'll have to start the problem over every time because you didn't show your work neatly.